Today's video is another episode of Timber Tuesday where all of my projects are created with wood. Hi there, my name is Sandra and you're watching the Schwowin's Nest. For this first project, you'll need some tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to glue 4 of them together just using hot glue, and I like to use this square that you can also get from the Dollar Tree just to help me keep everything nice and straight, and I have something to push against to make sure I don't have too big of a gap where the hot glue is in between the joints. You'll need 4 of these in sets of 4. I'm going to do the exact same thing, but these blocks are much bigger. I get these from my local Dollarama store, but you could also find some regular size Jenga blocks or tumbling tower blocks at your thrift store or even at Walmart, and I have seen them online too. Next, you'll need 2 of the tower blocks again. I'm working with the larger pieces this time. I've got some hot glue just on the top of the side there a little bit, and I'm going to add one of the pieces on an angle. I'm going to hold it there until it sets up. I'll do the same thing for the other side. And what you want to achieve for this project is to be able to have a little bit of a gap at the very top. You can see here that mine are hitting together, so I'm going to just give them a little bit of a push and a wiggle, and I might have to re-glue this one, but I do want to have just a bit of a gap at the top, and you'll see why in a minute. Because I glued these on an angle, there is a tiny gap down at the bottom. I'm going to reinforce that with some more hot glue. With the second block, I'm going to add some glue to the center of it and then center it on top of the bottom block. I'm going to add some glue to the second block in the same place that I did for the first one, and I'm also going to add just a little bit of hot glue on either side of the top of those pieces. That way I'm going to be able to glue everything together and I'll still have a tiny little gap at the very top. I'll do the same thing for the other side. Here's how they turned out. If you're here checking out my content for the first time, welcome. I'm so glad you decided to click on my video. If you like what you see, I'd love it if you could hit that red button and subscribe to my channel. When I found these houses at the Dollar Tree, I had to grab a bunch of them, and they have this little black tag on them, and man, are they ever glued down good. I just used my screwdriver to pry up as much as I could. Another piece that I needed for this project was a piece of long wood, and I just grabbed one of these signs. I believe I got this at Dollarama, but I have seen them at the Dollar Tree too. I'm going to give this a couple of coats of white chalk paint. This is a sweet little bird that I found at my Dollarama store, and I didn't like the little flowers on it, so I'm taking some of this buffalo check vinyl that you can get from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just using my hand to mark around the wing so I can know where to cut it out. But I ended up not using this piece simply because once I had the vinyl laid down, you could still see the colors of the flowers coming through. So I decided to remove the flowers and try something different. I traced out the inside of the wing on a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to then trace that once I cut it out so I have 2 pieces. This cardstock is not that thick and it does have a pattern on the back of it, so I want to make sure you can't see the pattern through. Then I'm going to cut out a piece of buffalo check napkin. You can kind of see that on the side there. And I'm going to just use my glue stick and glue that right on top of the 2 pieces of cardstock. Then I'll just use some hot glue and glue that to the wing. To get a nice clean edge on the napkin, I did use my emery board here and just filed off the excess tissue paper. I painted the rooftop, the sides, and the back of these houses with black chalk paint, give them a nice finished look. To camouflage the wood pieces that I couldn't get off the front, I'm just using some of this self-stick burlap tape, but you could use any type of burlap that you have. I then counted the little squares to make sure that I would get everything in the right spot and that these would be even. You may notice that the fabric on these houses isn't exactly perfectly lined up, but that's something that I'm not worried about. You won't notice it once I'm done. With the little chalkboard house, I painted that frame white, just so it would have a little bit more contrast to the other ones. Now I'm just going to hot glue my little bird right on top. This step is optional. I wanted to use some of this buffalo check ribbon to hide the line where the two pieces of tape meet, but then in the end, I thought it looked really pretty. So it's totally up to you if you recreate this project, what you would like to do at this stage. I'm going to take this ribbon all the way around to the back and give it a nice finished look. To decorate the front of these houses, I'm going to be using some of this eucalyptus, a little bit of lavender, and I'm also going to create a nice little two-fingered bow for each of them. But I'm going to do each of these houses a different style. I didn't want it to be exactly the same, and I think once you see the effect of it at the end, I think you'll like that too. I found these 4 cabinet knobs in my stash, and I'm going to take some Rust-Oleum matte black or flat black spray paint and give these a couple of good coats. Then once these are completely dry, I am going to give them a coat of sealer, and this is a spray sealer from Martha Stewart. I found it at a dollar store a long time ago, and I've just been using it whenever I want a nice glossy finish. To distress that white block a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and grab some black chalk paint and a chip brush, do a bit of a dry brushing effect on it. The top of this center house was looking a little bit plain, so I'm just going to be adding a piece of buffalo check ribbon that's been dovetailed, a sprig of lavender, and then some more eucalyptus. And I think that just finishes it off nicely. I'm going to be gluing the 3 houses to the top part of the wood sign. And the wood sign is standing on its end. I want the wider part to be facing the front. So for this, I'm going to be using a combination of my Gorilla Glue Clear Grip and some hot glue. I like to use the Clear Grip when I'm gluing a painted surface. For me, it just holds a lot better. I usually use my Weld Bond glue, but I have misplaced the bottle and I have not been able to find it. I think I left it up at my cottage, so I'm going to have to buy myself a new one real soon. I'm going to be adding the knobs onto the wood sign, and this is going to create a sweet little hanger. You can prop it up somewhere and just leave it the way it is, or you can mount it on the wall and add some lightweight decor to it, maybe even a jacket or two, as long as they're not too heavy. Again, I'm going to use my Gorilla Glue Clear Grip to glue these on, and I did let everything set overnight to make sure that it was really good and sturdy. This next Timber Tuesday project is one of my newest craft kits available on my Etsy shop. If you haven't checked that out yet, the link is down in my description box. I think this one turned out really sweet, but you'll have to let me know. I'm going to give this front part of the birdhouse a couple of coats of this sheepskin chalk paint by Faux. It's sort of a creamy white color. I painted parts of the crate portion of this, and now I'm just going to go ahead and glue things together. So you'll get 3 of these pieces. They're the same size, and you're just going to glue them together like a little box. You also get 2 little side pieces that will also help support the box. They're not as tall as the original box pieces, so you can either glue them on the top like I am or glue them down on the bottom. Now I'm going to use some tape just to mask off the area that would be sort of like the roof piece. And I'm just going to make sure that I get it nice and straight. And then I'm also going to be taking my craft knife and just trimming off the little peak at the top because I want this to have a nice pointed arrow shape at the top. I'm going to give this portion of the birdhouse a couple of coats of this beautiful green sage chalk paint. I'm not going to be going around the edges or the sides of this birdhouse. I like the rustic look of that burnt wood, but if you don't like that with the craft kit, you can definitely paint over it. I'm going to add some of the sage green paint to the front, back, and sides of the crate as well. The kit also comes with these two sweet little birds. One is a little larger than the other. I kind of thought maybe a male and a female just for fun. And I'm just taking some of my antiquing wax with a paper towel and just rubbing it on. I am going to do a little bit more of a darker dimension on the top portion of the birds and then leave their bellies a little bit lighter. And that's really easy to do with the antiquing wax. You can just put a little bit more on the top and less on the bottom. Next, I've got 3 wooden eggs. These are also part of the kit, and I'm painting them with the same sheepskin color that I did for the birdhouse. Once I have these completely dry, I'm going to speckle them a little bit with some of the sage green paint. What I've done is taken some of the sage green paint and added some water to it so it's really liquidy. And what I'm taking is this little fan brush, and that's going to give me the ability to just tap over the eggs and get some speckles. I'll just turn them over and get them covered on all sides and then let them dry. To assemble the crate and the birdhouse, I'm putting some glue on the back of the birdhouse, and I'm going to set it in about halfway down on the back of the crate. And that way it will be really nice and sturdy, and I won't need to worry about anything toppling over. The idea for this birdhouse is that you're looking at the inside of the birdhouse. So you'll see the nest, you'll see mom and pop birds inside, and you'll see the eggs. So I'm starting off by adding some Spanish moss. Then I'm going to glue the small bird a little bit closer down to the bottom, then the larger bird a little bit to the top of the hole, and then I'll add the eggs into the nest. I thought it would be nice to add some little greenery and some little sprigs of lavender, so I'm just going to hot glue those in. Now, the Spanish moss and the greenery and the florals is not included in the kit. You just get all of the wood pieces as shown here. I wasn't sure if I wanted to add some wording to this piece, but then I decided to take some of this black and white ribbon, tie that around the crate itself, and then I did create a little bow for the top, but I'm going to change that in a second. After I added the black ribbon, I still felt that it needed a little bit of dressing up. So I'm taking my ruler and a black Sharpie marker and just drawing a line in between the sage and the sheepskin colors of paint. And that just made the roof line pop. I ended up removing the little bow and the sprig of lavender at the top of the house, and I put it on the peak of where the green and sheepskin paints meet. And I think this is a better option. Let me know what you think of my newest spring craft kit. Let me tell you a little bit about my Etsy shop. YouTube is my full-time gig. So when I got a laser machine, I decided to reopen my Etsy shop and offer some wood craft kits, along with some SVG files, some decals, and a few other things. This is a little side hustle for me. So to get things boosted and going a little bit, I am going to be offering free shipping when you purchase 3 of my wood craft kits from my Etsy shop. All you have to do is select the 3 kits that you would like and add the code SHIPFREE ×3 at checkout. I'm starting this project with this medium-sized terracotta pot, and this was a Dollar Tree purchase. I think they come in a pack of two. I'm going to paint this with my flat black chalk paint, and I'm going to give it two coats. One thing I like about painting terracotta is that it dries really quickly. So by the time I was all the way around with the one coat, the first coat was dry and I could just continue painting. I'm also going to paint the inside of this because I want it to look finished. For the second part of this project, I'm taking this bamboo tray that I got at my local Dollarama store. I thought it was really unique because it has rounded edges and a little lip on it. So it's not anything that I had seen before. I'm going to be just using some tape and taping off a section so I can paint that part of it black. I am even going to go up around the lip of it, but I'm not going to go underneath. Once I was done with that, I decided it need another little smaller stripe, so I'm going to tape that off and do the same thing. I don't know about you guys, but I still think that even after years of painting and using painter's tape and masking tape, the reveal is always the best part. Just seeing all of those nice crisp lines just makes it worthwhile. I've flipped the tray over and centered the pot, and I'm just going to make some small markings on all four corners of the pot. I know it doesn't have corners, but you know what I mean. And that's just going to give me the outline of where I can add my Gorilla glue to be able to attach these two together. I let it cure overnight, and this is how it turned out. This last decor piece is something a little different. I'm taking this scrap piece of wood and I'm just going to use this masking tape and tape off the edge all the way around it. That will just give me a nice frame. I'm going to then paint the inside of it with a couple of coats of white chalk paint. If you want to have two coats of paint that have minimal brush strokes and really, really good coverage, change the direction of your brush strokes on the second coat. That is called a crosshatch method, and it will fill in any of the lines that any brush strokes left on the first coat and minimize them on the second coat. I always take my paint off when the paint is still wet and take a look at this reveal too. It looks so pretty, that natural color of wood against the bright white. I just love it. I'm starting off by inking up some of the IOD Sprague stamps. This was the first investment of IOD stamps that I made and I really love them. I don't use them a ton, but I really like them for spring. I'm going to go ahead and just use part of this one and I'm going to stop it at where the white and the natural wood meet. I'm going to add a few more of the stamps, and for some of them, I'm going to let them go right off the wood. That's going to make it look a little bit more whimsical and not quite so perfect. Every once in a while, our Dollar Trees up here in Canada get some really unique and fun items. And these were some of the clear stamps that I got in a little pack from Crafters Square. I was really excited when I found these because they are just perfect for this project. I'm taking a teeny tiny little brush and dipping it ever so slightly in some of these green colored paints and just very gently going over some of the leaves. I don't want to fill everything in. I just want to give it sort of a little whimsical, almost watercolor effect. For the flowers, I am actually going to do a little bit of watercolor. So I dip my paint in some water and then I dip it in the paint and then just use a piece of paper and just kind of get the color that I want. And then just very gently, I'm going to go over some of the florals, not again filling them in completely, but just adding a little touch of color here and there. Once I had that complete, I did the same thing with the fan brush, a little bit of white paint and some water, and I just wanted to add a little bit more whimsy to this project. And I think adding the white onto the outside of the frame really brought this piece together. I then decided to add just a touch of green the same way. To hang this piece, I used some little tiny natural colored beads and I put them on a pretty sturdy wire that would give me a nice shape. Then I added some of these little eye hooks, just screwing them into the top of the board. I'm going to go and use my needle nose pliers to open up the little loop down at the bottom of the beads and then tighten it up. And this will create a beautiful hanger for this piece. I really love how this one turned out. You'll have to let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed these Timber Tuesday decor ideas and got inspired to create with wood. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. That gets me noticed more on YouTube and helps my channel grow. Don't forget to hit the red subscribe button and that notification bell. Bye for now.